wrestling fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
Good evening, Unity News fans and family and friends. Good evening and welcome to Monday night. It's a little after 7 o'clock and we're joined by my guests, Ludo, who is actually my hair color, right? This is what I used to look like when I was 20 years ago. This is what I used to look like. My ginge is sort of gone now. It's gone grey. Welcome, Ludo. If you want to say,
thank you very much. Yeah, hello everyone. Good to be here.
Here we have down below Mrs. GoldEagle taking away my green screen behind me because she's been tidying up my office. But underneath me here, I have Rabbi Woody Streisand.
Hello, pleasure to be here. Pleasure to be here tonight.
Well, it's really good to have you. Let me just go bring my screen in because so people will know what this is, what I'm on about. Just bear with me. Let me just type this in here. Let's pull that in there. Just type in Nick. You should. Oh, why haven't you come up straight away? Just bear with me. There we go. It's because I spelled it with a K. There we go. Let's bring this in on here. Okay, so Nick, as you will know from Jacked, Nick Unwashed, he's been busy tweeting today, and we're going to go through a lot of the tweets. This was supposed to be the Brent Lee part 2, but to be honest, right, none of us have really done our homework watching his. Well, I did 20 minutes. How long did you do, Ludo?
I did about half an hour, and it was that Jeffrey Epstein one that we said we were all going to watch. And the first half an hour was all about some documentary about a tickle competition. And I thought, right, that's it, I'm done.
Nick,
right. None. I've tried to watch his I've tried a few times to watch that really serious one where he sat down in a big warehouse in Bristol and it's got mood lighting, like the pinned tweet that he's got. So I got sucked into a world of Rothschild documentaries.
But for being a big conspiracy theorist, though, he only got hold of a copy of what's it called? You know, the child thing film. I forgot what the name of the film is. It's about child trafficking.
Cuties?
No, Sound of Freedom.
Well, to be honest, right, he's that far behind. It was the one. I forgot what the guy is. Jim Caviezel.
Yeah. I mean, what was that? Like, I have some real big issues with that one because I think they just fed what Republicans are like concerned about and into a movie generator and fed it back to them. And I take real issue with it because it's like international children. This is the human trafficking that we like to think about, the Trump ones. We don't like to think about like all of porn. All of porn is human trafficking. If you're not on NoFap November and you're still watching porn, you're contributing to the global rape slave trade, right? And Sound of Freedom is a distraction against that.
That's it. The Sound of Freedom. That's what it was. That was. So anyway, this was one of your tweets from earlier on. It said, Tommy Robinson challenged me to a charity boxing match in 2019 to raise money for the victims of Pakistani grooming gangs. Proceeds would go to the Maggie Oliver Foundation. I'm still game if he is. Somebody let him know. It's for a good cause. So representing the United Kingdom will be Nick, and he'll be fighting if Tommy Robinson. I don't think Tommy Robinson will take you up because it wouldn't follow his narrative, if you know what I mean. But Tommy would be representing Israel because I don't feel that he's absolutely, he's not really representing what nationalism should stand for, and that is Britain and what is in the best interests of Britain. Anyway, first, before I saw Ludo, I saw you nodding your head then, like you just wanted to speak. But we'll let Nick, please, just say a little bit about that, if you would.
Yeah, my perspective. I mean, I'm sure the UNN audience already have noticed, like we've all noticed, that Katie and Tommy being allowed back on Twitter right now, a week to go before this cenotaph dealy. That's a bit obvious. I'd go beyond suspicious and say obvious. And yeah, so UNN is always like, you know, prided itself on not being GB News, because GB News is just so wrong, and this is so right. And all the GB News lot, like the Lozafox, the Martin Daubney, even though Lozafox has been booted off, you know what I mean. You know the crowd I mean. They're the ones G'ing this up and wanting to make the cenotaph be a big thing. Now, it's sort of unconvincing anyway, because it is a peace rally. Like, I'm not remotely scared of the word jihad anymore, because jihad means struggle. If you were born in the Gaza Strip, your understanding of good and evil would probably be more heightened than the average Western liberal comfy person, right? So your understanding of what that word jihad means is right there in front of you every single day. I basically kind of get it. And all this lot of saying like, oh, they're walking around in the streets saying jihad, jihad, jihad. And I'm like, yeah, that day of jihad that happened, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but there was one day which was supposed to be the day of jihad. And there was no terrorism in the UK. There was just loads and loads of prayer. So like, that's worth bearing in mind. I think you're going to get largely peaceful but very angry Palestine rally, which will also be enormous. It'll be huge. I think it's bigger than probably the peak of the freedom rallies, this one. I think it probably is. And you're going to get a handful of gammon, but they're going to be like really angry and racist right off the bat, even though they're the team that's not allowed to be racist, because Team Tommy and that is like, no, this is about culture. It's just about Islam. It's not about the sheer numbers of this lot. But it's a very, very strange moment for people like me who were very deep in the nationalism thing, because suddenly we're seeing all of our arguments and all of our talking points just being sprayed out there en masse by all the Telegraph people. They're talking about mass deportations openly, but they're doing it under the guise of deport Hamas supporters, right? It's under political grounds, not any kind of like identity grounds. So it's very strange. I can see things that we've kind of been arguing to put on the table for years being put on the table for all the wrong reasons.
Ludo, your thoughts on Tommy and Katie coming back?
Well, I mean, I'm glad they've come back, because personally I like both of them. I like what they have to say. I wasn't really aware of their pro-Israel stance until, like, when did they come back? It was last night, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
see, I mean, just the Israel thing, it's kind of like the scales have to fall from your eyes and realize just how long they've put figures there to support Israel when a moment like this comes up. So it was always for me, it used to be a part of who Tommy Robinson was. I heard he was a Zionist, but it's like, okay, I don't really understand how that matters. And then when you find out it's all of them, it's like, okay, hang on, what the fuck even is this? What's going on here? what is this?
well, just to finish off on that point that I was making earlier, I'm a nationalist, so I don't particularly lose any sleep over what goes on between Israel and Palestine. I would favor de-escalation between both of them, but I don't know their history. I don't know much about the conflict. I certainly don't feel qualified to talk about it. But I just wonder why a conflict that's going on thousands and thousands of miles away means that we're going to have dramas in London on the 11th. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay. I would say it's because basically the entire rest of the world, apart from the UK and the US, understands what the deal is with Israel-Palestine. And It's not complicated. They just stole the land. Basically, straight after World War II, loads of Jews from Europe and America and all over, but predominantly Western white countries, went to the Middle East. And it was one of the first big uses of flamethrowers I learned recently, was to just like wipe out all these peasant villages. And we're talking a proper, really well-armed World War II army going to the Middle East and just getting rid of a country. And it's never been recognized as a war crime, and all those people are still refugees. That's the conflict. That's it. Now, if you hear it from Ben Shapiro, there'll be all sorts of crap about the Balfour Declaration and like legalese, and Palestine never defined its borders. It never officially existed as a state.
I follow David Vance, because don't get me wrong, like Dan was saying about Katie Hopkins and Tommy Robinson. I like Katie Hopkins, I like Tommy Robinson, and I like David Vance, but I'm not agreeing with David Vance at the moment, because he's putting out all of these maps. You know, oh look, this map shows Palestine didn't exist. This map does. Do you mean it's just crazy? Anyway, before I go on, good evening, Jim. We have Jim in the room. Good evening,
hello. Sorry, I'm late. Hello, everybody.
No worries,
Right,
Jim. I've got a quick question for you, which is like out the box, but it's really for the UNN audience. At what age do you think homosexuality should be taught in school?
Thanks, Simon. I've been arguing this with people all day about this. People are trying to say it's homophobic. The petition's homophobic.
Why would it be homophobic? It's just a question for fuck's
Well,
sake.
no. The question is about being homophobic. Is the petition calling for laws to stop homosexuality being promoted and gender incongruence being promoted in schools and councils?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, right? You shouldn't be talking to let's say, right, that the age should be that they come back and say, oh, it's at age 4. Let's say, for example, because the Welsh Joint Education Committee, I think they say it's 5. I think that's when their thing starts. But I don't think you should be teaching anything about sex. You know, surely it's ABCs first. And anyway, that's a question for everyone in chat, because we're not talking about that. We've started talking about Tommy and Katie Hopkins coming back on Twitter. What are your
Isn't it
thoughts
amazing? Isn't it amazing? Just the timing of it. It's amazing.
What a coinky dink.
Yeah, like we don't believe in them though, do we, boys? Let's have it right.
Not when all the coincidences all seem to point to one spot on the map.
Right.
No,
But
to sum that one up quickly, because like people do see it as complex. They're a bunch of terrorists. The Jews in Israel are a bunch of terrorists that stole the land, and the rest of it is they've got a con on you to make it look like it's legit. Because they
as a Jew in Wales, how does that make you feel, Simon? Because is there a difference? I know you're a Christian, but ethnically Jewish. This is
Yeah.
He's not Jewish then, Jim. He's not Jewish.
He's not, right. So you're talking about Jews as in a religion then, or what are you talking about specifically, Nick?
Well, everyone has to accept Christ to gain a ticket into heaven anyway. So the Jews are no different in that regard. But Simon isn't Jewish because he's Christian.
Yeah.
I mean, do you? Sorry, Simon, I've got to ask. What? So, was you raised Jewish?
Yeah.
So
I didn't take my bar mitzvah because my dad is typically Jewish, and said because it costs money to actually put on a bar mitzvah. So he said, son, look, you know, if you don't want to do it, don't worry. So I didn't. I became a Christian when I was 24.
Right. All right. So, do you feel any sort of affinity with the other ethnic Jews then?
Well, yeah. Do you remember? What's the guy? Not Fleming. He's an old guy. Jackie Devoy interviewed him, and you see, my grandfather, he was one of the founder members of the Middlesex New Synagogue, right? And I'm really pissed off that there's nowhere is his name, because he was the treasurer. but he was one of the organisers. But you don't have the treasurer goes down on the notes on there. They've only got like whatever it is, the person that runs it, sort of thing. My mum and dad were married by Rabbi Lionel Blue, and Rabbi Lionel Blue used to put me on his knee and bounce me up and down. But that's another story.
No, but Simon wouldn't have the right of return. He wouldn't be able to move to Israel if he's a practicing Christian.
No, I could because I could. It's only there was no sort of like certificate. There's no tattoo that you get.
But they
I'd
ask
have to have the DNA. I'd have to be DNA tested. Talk about the final solution. As far as looking at my DNA to see whether I can go into a country or not.
But if you were 100% Ashkenazi Jewish DNA and you wanted to move to Israel, but you'd converted to Catholicism and been baptized, you wouldn't be allowed in. And that proves.
How would they know?
Well, because you have to declare this stuff. They ask you. And you're not allowed to lie if you're a God-fearing Catholic who's been baptized. So, but this is true. You
just got to say a few Hail Marys after, mate.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is that if you've got all the right DNA, but you are Catholic, they will refuse you because they have refused people for exactly. This isn't hypothetical. This has actually happened. And this proves that it's not a genetic thing. It's a religious thing. It's because they don't like Christ. It's not because of their bad blood.
There's Emo Phillips. I don't know if you know Emo Phillips. I'm trying to rewrite one of his jokes. But another one of his jokes was about when he used to pray to God. And he used to pray for a bicycle, and he never got one. So what he did was he converted to Christianity. He went out and stole a bike, and then asked for forgiveness. He got his bike, basically.
Well, look, I'm developing so much respect for Islam as this goes on because I'm hemorrhaging respect for Christian leadership. Like, man, I've seen videos.
Yeah, but Christian, this is where you're getting it messed up, Nick, because Christian leadership at the top of the Christian pyramid is Christ, man. This is like,
I know, but there's this gap. There's people.
If you're a Bible believing Christian, you don't believe in some sort of authoritative man figure at some building that's going to. Do you know?
I know.
What I mean?
I'm prepared for I know that Justin Welby's a nonce and all that. But I'm talking about anyone. It's like I can't find anyone on a pulpit who's like going to say, "Yeah, Israel."
You're not going to, because we're in the We're in the times of Laodicea. Like the church is bad. It's been written like it's going to be like that. It is. The devil's running shit in them places, mate. Like them establishments. It's like any other establishment in the country. In the global economy.
Yeah, I know. It's just it's knocked the wind out of me because I could find a few during lockdown, and there was a lot of during the vaccine. There was a lot of good Christian energy, right? There's a lot of people saying it was the mark of the beast, and we're in it's the apocalypse because the apocalypse is a big unveiling. All the marches had lots of Christian iconography on them, and now I'm like, oh, that's disheartening. Where they're like, well, we got to stand with God's chosen people. Oh man, Bible.
Yeah, no, that's anyone that's saying that you need to be down with genocide and the murder and slaughter of children because God's people say so, or whatever. That's not real. That's not common sense. That's nonsense. Do you know what I mean? Everyone knows that. Carpet bombing, not even carpet bombing. These attacks are strategic and that they're blowing up fucking places on purpose. But the point is, like, it's everyone in their right mind knows that it's not the same. When the Palestinians go and bomb them, yeah, it's bad, but it's not nowhere near the way that the fucking Israelis have been giving it to them for decades. Do you know what I mean? And it is to be expected that these people, they are literally funding and creating terrorist cells. Like it's all by design. They wouldn't have it set up the way it is if it wasn't.
Yeah, the actual war comes from the same place on both sides. So, like, I can see people getting more and more literate in this as they have to play catch up. Like, because I remember I had a few friends who were like big on the Palestine thing, 8-10 years ago when it flared up, and I had the good nationalist opinion of it's a long way away. Why would I give a shit? Don't care. Whereas now I've like had to play catch up, and it is just like. Yeah, once it clicks and you see the Palestinians, it's not a war, it's an occupied people, and every time they do anything, like any kind of resistance, they just get blown up. And people are definitely piecing together that Netanyahu is responsible for Hamas, and learning that like he knocked out the PLO, which was the more peaceful way of looking for some kind of solution, led by Yasser Arafat. Like, I didn't know this shit a month ago. And I don't think I'm the only one. And I also think that Westerners, especially the Brits and the Americans, have been hypnotized into a sort of World War II spell for 80 years, whilst the Arab world has known exactly what happened. The whole Muslim world knew exactly what happened. All of this, and also you've got the counter jihad, which is essentially what we're talking about today, is this thing called the counter jihad, which is this big movement where they're never allowed to question 9/11. Like Gavin McGuinness is in this, and Ben Shapiro's in this, and they, it's all radical Islam is the biggest threat on earth today. And the fact is, radical Islam is the biggest threat on earth today to the state of Israel. It's not the biggest threat in the world to you, necessarily. I don't think. I think the globalists, which has big.
Is that necessarily true now with the heightened tensions and the way that they've spun this narrative? Is it not more likely now that we are due to see some sort of instance of terrorism as a result directly because of what's been going on in the Middle East with Israel and Palestine and the way it's all been portrayed in the media?
Yes, and it's probably time to acknowledge the difference in the scale of the casualties. Like, obviously the Lee Rigby thing and this is like horrific, but maybe you should come to expect it, being what our government is doing, like bomb the shit out of this country, then invite them all in. We do need everyone angry about all of this altogether. It's like you don't get it because there's so much energy and nationalism is now devoted to, well, they shouldn't be here. Back, and it's like you have to understand the whole argument.
Is anger the right emotion, though? Is anger the right?
Yeah,
is that what we need?
Like, are you watching a lot of this, Jim? How the cenotaph on Sunday is being set up as January 6th.
I'm seeing there's been all sorts of media coverage. I quote tweeted something or other from the Met themselves or from someone like a proper source, and the tweet got deleted. So I'm not sure what sort of, we're this far into it now with all the psyops and all the psychological warfare that we've been under sustained psychological attack for about the last 4 years at least. So it's come to be expected.
Someone had the radio on in work today, and it was just Radio 1, where you only get the 5-minute news update. And it was the leading story on the news today. It was like preparations are being made for the cenotaph. So normies are being primed for some shit.
But this is the thing. So this is how I know it's all a psyop, and it's it's a loosh farm. They're trying to and harvest the energy, right? Because I know full well for a fact, since before she popped her clogs, when he was lined up to become king, they started operating in London differently. They started bringing out all these fucking green screens so you can't see down these roads. Usually they just have a couple of police there, a few police there, but now they blockade it with these big fucking green things. Now I know full well for a fact, if you're not at the cenotaph for 8 o'clock in the morning on Remembrance Sunday, you won't be able to get there anyway. Do you see what I'm saying? It's fully on top in there. It's like secure. They make it secure with all the army and the rest of it. So I can't see it happening. And if it does happen, like you're saying, it's going to be the fucking the state doing it, mate. Do you know what I mean?
They'll definitely be the the agent provocateur.
That's the one.
So them people that who's the guy that used to have that channel? So everyone was actors.
Tommy Robinson.
Not that one. John Overkill.
Oh, fucking hell, there's a name.
But that's what he was all on about, was, you know, all these he's a shill, he's gonna start it all up. And why is he getting involved with all of these things?
Yeah, but let's have it right. Even a broken clock's right twice a day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fucking twat.
True. Are we believing the 7/10? You know, because we were talking about 9/11, the 7th of October. Are we believing, right, that Hamas were able to put together all of these, not gliders, what they're called, you know, things that they were able to get across, you know, which are quite heavy things. They parachuted as well.
Well, it's funny they didn't manage to see any of that happening, but nowadays they seem to know every fucking hospital and every mosque where Hamas seem to be located now to put a fucking buster, what they call them, the bunker buster, straight through them. Mm-hmm. Have you heard the sound of them things, Simon?
I've watched a couple of videos with them.
Could you imagine being an 8-year-old child, 7-year-old child, and just hearing that sound and then seeing something blow to fuck? Like,
this is it. It's people being born into that society. People are born into this.
They don't know any different. All they've known for the last however many years is they hear that sound and people are fucking dead.
Exactly. Are you not developing a certain amount of tolerance for the word jihad and intifada? Certainly when I see people yelling intifada, I'm like, yeah, intifada. You know, because
hang on, before I agree with anything, what does that mean? What does that even mean?
Well, look, if you take it to mean we will kill all the non-believers,
because at the same time, this is the thing. I'm always in some strange place near the middle. Yeah, this is the thing. At the same time, I have compassion for the children that hear that and the adults, whoever the innocents. I have compassion for them. But at the same time, when you're saying about Antifada and jihad, do I think that the inclination and the sentiment of these people, when they move into countries, when they become a majority, is to implement Sharia law, then I'd have to have a long hard think about that and think,
that's not what the Intifada is. Again, the Intifada is against the state of Israel. I think
is that what it is?
Yeah. I think so. I think that's what it's like. We need an uprising against this. And to be honest, it's like, yeah, you do, because they're not going to stop. And there needs to be massive international pressure to stop this somehow. And it's either you get a peace agreement, which these Jews don't seem to be able to do, because anytime you criticize them in any way, they try and destroy your life. Like, I mean, look at the way Joseph Cohen came after me just for like. For God's sake, I'm just trying to have conversations with people, and he's like, "There's another one."
What about your other mate?
And there's another one. One. Like, seriously, am I the biggest threat to your 2 countries you could live in? You're safe. You're safe there. What the fuck, bro?
What's happening? What's happening with your other mate?
Which one? With Rafi?
Yeah.
Have you seen Rafi's Twitter?
Oh mate, he's gone full psycho. He's gone full psycho.
I mean, when
he wants to level the place.
Yeah, he does. I'll be honest. I'm scared to talk to the guy.
Can you explain, Nick, who this Rafi is?
I discovered him on UNN. I watched him talking to David Clues, and and they agreed on everything about lockdowns and vaccines and everything. And he was living in Israel, which was the worst place to be when all of this was going down.
Oh yeah,
biggest fascist for it. So I reached out to him and was like, mate, I want to hear about this, and interviewed him. And then this whole beef happened between him and Joseph Cohen, because Rafi's like, well, I like Nick. I don't think he hates Jews. And I think I'd leveled with Rafi about I've interviewed some people that have been accused of it and etc. But to be honest, I don't think when I spoke to him, I really understood quite what Israel was. And it's just like, you just shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be doing that to those people. You shouldn't be there. There's got to be another way, because every single a lot of people.
So hang on. So as a Christian, this is Nick. You're saying this. You don't believe. So your whole argument is Ashkenazi Jews from Europe are not from the Levant.
Well, there's all sorts of arguments in it. I mean, you can't claim to be indigenous to somewhere that you haven't been in for 3,000 years. That's just fucking nonsense. So the claim.
What about the Bible, though, Nick?
Well, what about the Bible? Like, as soon as Jesus has been and gone, the covenant with the Jews doesn't even exist anymore. So
it does for the Jews.
Yeah. But there's Revs 2:9 and 3:9, isn't there?
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. That's why I was asking. Is it that they ain't Jewish? Is the question? Like,
yeah, and based on it looks like they were converts, and there's a difference between. And I love those Torah Jews, mate. Those Torah Jews are fucking. They're so
the best you get. It's just the ones that read the Talmud, mate.
Yeah, I know. I've got a little book on the best bits of the Talmud. It's disgusting.
Do you know what a golem is?
Yeah.
Rings.
Well, that's the pizza that they're making out of clay.
It's out of dirt and some sort of dirty linen, dirty loincloth or something.
Do you remember exactly what that is? And I mean, what's so crazy, like, is the red cow thing. Do you guys know?
The heifers are already there, bro. The heifers are given to them by some Zionist Christians.
This GoldEagle woke me up in the middle of the night to show me these heifers. They've been specially bred.
Yes.
To fulfill this prophecy.
Yes.
And it's so weird that this Netanyahu is like going on about prophecies and stuff like that. Where
this is what we need to together kind of bust in there, right? Like, loads of people are aware that Muhammad raped a 9-year-old. He married her when he was 6, but apparently he waited 3 years.
No, but this is what I'm saying. You're saying we need to spur on this anti-Semitism, and I'm saying if you read the Bible, like that in of itself is trying to do the same stuff, because it says that the world will turn against them. Like, they think they're sitting pretty in the Middle East surrounded by Arabs now, but it's written. And if you're talking about heifers in a sense where it's true, these prophecies are coming to pass, then the same sort of consideration needs to be given for everything else. When we're saying, oh, we should be telling everyone, look, this is. I like you were saying, the Torah ones are good. The Bible believing Jews are good. You can't go around saying the Jews. I don't think.
No, but we're talking about awareness, right? Because for so long it was terrifying to, like, I remember even in 2019, if I knew that someone was like a bit based, someone in my real life, because of the memes on Facebook, right?
They're not even Jews. They're Sabbatian Frankists. They're Hasidics.
What I'm saying though is that, like, those few people that I knew, like, had a really bad reputation among the local leftists, you'd sneakily go, do you know anything about the Jews? And everyone would get all nervous 4 years ago. Now it's just like, look, these people are peculiar. They're weird. I'm not saying good, bad, evil, whatever. I'm not saying you need to bomb the hell out of them.
Ludo to get a word in, because
to be honest with you, I feel a little bit out of my depth in this discussion, because it's a religious one and I'm not religious. No, it's not that. You know, the one good thing that I think has come out of this Israel-Palestine psyop that's going on at the moment is it seems to have made Jews fair game for criticism where they weren't before, which is what I think Nick was just getting at.
Because you win by joking. Like, if you get angry at the Jews, because with Patriotic Alternative, I was involved with these Nazis that, like, genuinely, like, blamed the Jews for them not having a girlfriend, and it's just like, that's I don't think God wants you doing that. But, like, relentlessly mocking the Jews, because it really, like, it undermines everything somehow. You're not allowed to mock Jews, and you're not allowed to say, well, there's 6 million. That's, you know, mathematically impossible given the resources that Mustache Man had. And this kind of stuff, like, just have a laugh.
My father would take great offence to that. If you tried to turn around and say to him that that's mathematically impossible to incinerate that amount of bodies or anything of the sort, try to dispel that sort of talk, he would take great offence to that.
Your granddad, did you say?
No, he's my dad, but he's 76, so he could be my granddad.
Yeah, well, I wonder about this because I've watched like interviews with Mosley from like the 50s or 60s or just general post World War II, but in the 10 to 20 years afterwards. And there's like no reference to it, to the concentration camps and the extermination of the Jews and all this stuff. It's all about invading Poland.
Jim, are you interviewing Nick Collerstrom or you have interviewed him?
I have spoken to Nick before and filmed it, yeah.
Because Nick wrote a very good book about it, which is it opens up your mind to things. But just to get back,
he's also written a very good book about full Paul McCartney not being.
Yeah, I've been down that rabbit hole as well. There's a good YouTube channel that I subscribe to. That every now and again they come out with the latest because Paul McCartney was replaced by this other guy who wasn't as good. What I wanted to carry on was what Ludo was saying, because for me, out of this psyop and everything, is the number of people who are revealing themselves as not really on the side of freedom, free speech. I think we should actually start naming all these people because, of course, we know the famous ones.
Douglas Murray's a slag. Is that what you're going to say, Douglas Murray?
Yeah, I mean, you've got Jordan Peterson.
He's dirty.
I'm not surprised by, but I was surprised by, like we were talking about him earlier, David Vance. Because I didn't realise that David would be so pro-Israel.
Is he the PA one?
No, I think I've spoken to him. Have you not spoken to him, Jim? Because I think he's just a boomer about it. Like some of these people are definitely bought and paid for. Douglas Murray, like what? Why is he the spokesman for the Jews?
He's a fucking sodomite, mate. Hello.
Yeah, I know, but like, there's no one look at. Oh, right. So Douglas Murray is going to be the man to teach us about why we should be supporting Israel, right? Well, why? Like, why? I'd rather hear from Jeremy Corbyn, to be honest. Like this dickhead swanned away for 4 years while lockdown was going on.
Did you watch the trigonometry interview with Douglas Murray?
No, because I'll do a video on him and I've got to watch it and like, oh man, I've just known that this whole apparatus was set up for this purpose and it's really nasty to see it because he's done a deal with the devil here. He's done a real deal with the devil and this is his moment of being like, right, they're sending him out to do all the interviews. It's amazing the way they could just fly Ben Shapiro from country to country to debate students to these little clips, right?
It's almost a bit like Zelensky, how Zelensky would appear everywhere. Ludo, have you watched that interview yet?
What, with Douglas Murray and trigonometry?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that. I'm not a big fan of any of them, to be honest with you.
I'm not either, but I sat down and I actually sat through the whole of it. I took the pain because I wanted to, there was the opportunity most probably to talk about it. But it was just literally, you only have to watch 2-3 minutes of it and you'll get the gist of everything, but you won't have to sit through the whole thing. Jim, did you watch it?
I watched about 10 minutes of it, I think.
You enjoyed the punishment?
Oh, no, I'm not a fucking masochist like you, am I? I didn't watch the whole thing. No, I like you were saying, you don't have to watch the whole thing to see what it's about. He's quite obviously poster boy. Like has been said by the other panelists, he's just been flown about or shipped about to speak to people about it, and he's just an absolute cunt, basically.
I think trigonometry's been used because I've had my eye on trigonometry for years because it's awful, and not all of their guests are. Not all of the topics are necessarily awful. Sometimes the person sat in the chair is like, I don't know, a legit person that's trying their best, a sort of Posey Parker or someone that's trying to stop knife crime or whatever. It's all reasonable. But those two in the host's chairs, it's like, Why are you there? Because you're not funny, you're not charismatic, you haven't done this yourself. Someone is paying you to do this. Your studio keeps getting upgraded, but you don't keep getting any better. You're now on Piers Morgan. You're now speaking at the Oxford Union. What the fuck is this? And so Konstantin Kisin is clearly he's a Russian Jew. Like those are the two. Yeah, those are the two spy-east ethnicities you could be in, right? Jewish and Russian. The dude is a spy. You kind of have to be if you're a Russian Jew. And I believe that Trigonometry, they've had all these guests on to just kind of gather them and form a network. And then they can suss people out and check if they'll be good for this moment. Go, oh, yes, Hamas supporters everywhere. They're not the agenda, but I can kind of see maybe why he was there, because I've wondered about Konstantin for so long, because he's so talentless and unlikable that, like, why is he becoming more famous?
Yeah. We didn't get through to naming these people because one of the things that I'm disillusioned with, right, is the split, the division. So we've really got now a division with nationalism, because you've got a lot of I've been reading all the tweets from Robbie when Tommy Robinson and Katie Hopkins came on, let back onto Twitter, and everyone's there saying, oh, well done, Tommy, you're going to sort out all these mozzies now. It's sort of like, because I always thought that Tommy would be the one to unite the nationalism, but it just seems that it's just even more divided. Ludo, your thoughts?
Like I said, I like Tommy Robinson, and it seems to me that he has been persecuted over the years. I've watched quite a lot of his content, when he was chased out of Cambridge by the police for doing nothing. When Tom Watson and Yvette Cooper wrote to YouTube to get him censored. So those are kind of the biggest things that tell me he's a legit guy. And I just wonder how much of what you just said, Simon, is a result of him not being able to share his voice and not being able to steer nationalism in that direction.
Ludo, when you say he's not able to share his voice, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean on Twitter? Do you mean solely on Twitter?
Well, yeah, on the mainstream, he got booted off Facebook, he got booted off YouTube, he got booted off Twitter. They're the big ones where the big audiences are. So, yeah, he might be able to share his voice on Rumble or whatever. But...
I was more thinking Telegram, where he's got something like 150,000 subscribers. But the point is, Telegram is actually run and owned by someone who is on the World Economic Forum's Young Global Leaders. Now, I would... Yeah, so if I was to think that someone was being censored by some overarching octopus type entity, then I should say that he would be well within the grasp being on Telegram. So I don't think that stands to scrutiny, saying he's been censored.
Okay. Well, he had over 1 million followers on Facebook. I know that. And he could get 1 million people on a live stream in an instant. So I don't know if Telegram's got the same.
Right. How does that happen without some help?
What? How does he get 1 million viewers
Absolutely.
on live stream?
That's not a censored person. That's an incredibly promoted person. It's impossible for someone like VOG to get up to that level. Absolutely impossible.
I don't know. Tommy's pretty popular. He is pretty popular.
Exactly. Why is Tommy popular? I'll tell you, I'm going to draw you a parallel. You remember who Jada Franson is? Yeah? Leader of...
Yeah, I know Jada Franson. I know what Jada Franson.
Now, they were comparably famous at a certain time, or at least like in about maybe 2018, 2017. They were sort of similar. Stories. Jada, if anything happens with her, because I know her, her reach has shrunk down to like bugger all because of all the censorship.
Yeah.
Tommy, he can fart and it'll get reported on the BBC News, right? Every single thing that Tommy Robinson does. And look at this Sunday, huge media attention. Katie Hopkins and Tommy are back on Twitter because of Elon. And we all know Elon is not good and to be trusted, right? Like I use this Tate thing as a litmus test. Like, man, why couldn't people just say like, yeah, he's a pimp? There's so much crookedness going on here. I see them all connect to each other now, and it makes me sick. I hate them all.
At the end of the day, if there's anyone there that's going to go into London on the behest of Tommy Robinson or some silly fat twat sitting in Thailand getting noshed off by ladyboys, yeah, because let me tell you, do you think Tommy's going to be down there with all them fucking Muslims about? Do you think Tommy's going to go down there when there's supposed to be a million Muslims in town?
Yeah, probably not. Well, what do you have to say about him getting chased out by the police and all that kind of stuff? Getting thrown in Nick for seemingly nothing. You know, when he got nicked for.
I mean, how much? This is the thing. How long? How much, and how long? They're the two questions, isn't they? Like how much, and how long?
Serious time. And
how long?
Well, I think it was 18 months, but it was like solitary and stuff like that.
Right. So
it wasn't 18 months.
But hang on. Right. So if you're going to ask a drug dealer from Luton, yeah, we give you 2 million quid and your house paid for, and you got to go and lay down for 18 months, and you're a drug dealer from Luton, you're going to say 2 years on my bed doing fuck all for 2 million quid and a house. You're going to say, yes, please. Thank you very much. It's as simple as that. It is as simple as that. I'm sorry. I'm just a cynic, mate. I'm just a cynic. And like all this other stuff that Nick says, it's all true in regards to Tommy and that. Like it don't make no sense.
There's a barrier, right? Simon can hit any of us up and ask us to hop on UNN, right? And the reason that David Vance is kind of sticking out like a sore thumb is actually I can just message him and we could just hop on for a live stream. And he seems to have gone the other way on this. He seems to have gone the way that all the controlled guys have. And I'm pretty damn certain David Vance is not controlled and being fed shit from Mossad. So I'd like to talk to him. But then Kate is sitting down with Tommy, or she's already sat down with Tommy, and it's like now is the wheat from chaff moment where you point out nobody's in contact with Douglas Murray, nobody's really in contact with Loza Fox. Where is this barrier? Where exactly is this line where the people cannot actually talk to these people up there in the resistance?
Now, talking to people, Rebecca Jane, UKIP. Pretty young lady. About a year ago, I think it was. She said, "Well, what we need to do to win this election is we need to get all the independents together and we need to talk to them." So she tried to talk to Reform. Reform were the only people they want to know. Basically, told her to fuck off. Okay, right now let's put this now into the nationalism thing that I'm talking about. And Tommy Robinson, okay, because Tommy Robinson he's sort of like the Reform, sort of like the breakaway. He will not talk to Patriotic Alternative. He wants nothing to do with them. They're the alt-right. He wants nothing to do with Britain First. All of these. He's just interested in Tommy Robinson and Urban Scoop. So how can we see, right, a way to it? There's I don't know if you see, if I just play for you, I don't know if you know Richie Allen. But Richie Allen is going to sing a song for Pandora, who's one of the UNN audience.
And Pandora said, "Bravo, Richie, that's a number one right there. Brutal truth in the form of music. I'm not sure it's a number one now. So we'll give it another spin for the crack." Yeah, we're fucked. Asher, we're fucked. We're absolutely fucked now. Totally fucked. Absolutely fucked. We're just fucked. And we know we're fucked. We're fucked. We're fucked. We're totally and utterly fucked. And how do we unfuck it? We're fucked. We're totally fucking fucked.
So my question is, right, how can we unfuck it? That's my question.
It's already fucking itself, I would suggest. Like at the moment, Israel-Palestine is basically a load of billionaire Jews bombing the shit out of children and pretending that they're the victims. That's end game of
everything. Mate, that's anti-Semitic, man.
No, I mean what I'm saying is it's so clown world. It's like, did anyone really even believe the last war? I think Viva Ukraine was essentially the destruction of Ukraine. Kind of emptied it out of Ukrainians, got a load of them killed by Russians, and and that's that. And like, do you believe in any of the news stories anymore? It's all they're kind of just desperate for attention. And so, had you win, I think you stand back and you let it collapse because it's in free fall.
Well,
Move to China while you still can.
Like Godard's gone to Thailand.
Oh, yeah, of course you do. Yeah, that's mental, isn't it?
It is.
I thought that was what.
Oh, Nick's got the
I thought that's what your reference to sucking off ladyboys in Thailand. I thought that's what that comment was about.
No, that was talking about Mariner, mate.
Okay.
Jason Mariner. Apparently, he's out there making videos, fucking telling everyone to go out there. He's too busy in Ireland.
I know the guy. You've got a big old like criminal.
He's calling on a fucking stroke or 10, mate. The fucking size of him, the cunt. He wants to look after himself a bit better.
Ludo, what do you think do you think we're fucked?
Yeah, I think we are, in a word. I think probably the best way to unfuck us is to just stop giving a shit about things that don't immediately concern us, like Russia, Ukraine, or fucking Israel, Palestine. Like, I don't understand how people are so. Look after the country that's around you, that you inhabit. Let's start there before we start worrying about other countries. That's my attitude. But it's never going to happen, unfortunately. People are so hypnotized by the propaganda.
It ain't that. It's the Zionists have got so much money. That's the problem. The Zionists have so much money.
Well, they have the money.
Well, look how many people. Look how many people were willing to lay their lives down for Ukraine. People who'd never even heard of Ukraine a couple of months previous. People who couldn't even point it out on a map. You know what I mean? They're next thing you know, they've got Ukrainian flags hanging out their window, out their cars, everything. And it's just, I don't know, how do you resolve that? I don't think you do, unfortunately.
Unless we're talking about fractional reserve banking and debt bondage, we're not having a conversation, man, because that's the thing. We're all enslaved.
All right. Well, buy gold then. Buy gold and silver. That's
bruv. But listen, what happened before, mate? What did what's his name, the old Yank one, do before? He made a little law and said, right, you've got to give that all to us. We'll give you some of this fiat currency, but you've got to give us all that by law.
You've given the correct Christian response, which is that usury poisons societies, and I just think we are in the sort of end times of this. Because all of these projects overlap, the fractional reserve banking, the state of Israel, the woke agenda, like they're all hitting this fever pitch. Where it's like, I think we were promised a total collapse at least a decade ago. So TikTok is coming. And I think we've already made, like, basically when something enormous happens, we're going to be less freaked out than the average person. The average person who has no idea what Israel-Palestine even is probably much more scared than we are right now, right? 40 beheaded babies. The terrorists are coming. They're coming here, right? And not to be scared of that. So we've kind of already won.
No, it's true in that respect, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's good. Anyway, I didn't want to make any sick jokes about babies.
You had to try proper hard there, Simon.
Any babies, Simon? It's all a lie. There were no babies in incubators. Assad didn't gas his own people. It's fine. Muslims are lovely.
Wanking machines,
masturbation machines at Auschwitz. I love them. You guys both know about
mate.
Right?
The
lads up the top. You know about this, yeah?
No.
What's that? Wanking machines in Auschwitz?
Yeah.
I don't know about.
I didn't know technology was that advanced back then.
Well, it wasn't.
I thought the concentration camps were a lot more like bad than that. That actually sounds like somewhere I want to go now.
No,
there's swimming pools as well, apparently.
Oh, really?
I don't know, Nick. Did they have swimming pools?
Yeah, and maternity wards and all sorts. But what I mean,
maternity wards.
Nice. The biggie is
no chimneys.
They took these pictures.
What are the Jews complaining about?
They took pictures of these cow milking machines and said that they strapped the Jews to them and wanked them to death. And this it didn't happen. Yeah. No, sorry, you shouldn't question that. It's not funny.
I have watched a lot. They're called propaganda, German propaganda, where they are advertised, these camps, as like a holiday camp. You know, look, you know, you've got nice things there. But that, I think, is for another evening. Anyway, we're just coming up to the close of the show. So I just like the final thoughts. And we'll start, first of all, with Ludo. Your final thoughts on the world, the shit world that we live in at this moment in time. What do you think about it? What do you think we can do? What should we be doing? I know you said not complying so far, but take it away.
Yeah. I think one of the best things to do is not to give a shit about other countries, to be honest with you. Start by giving a shit about your own country, because if you care too much about Palestine or you care too much about Israel, that's how the propaganda machine ends up brainwashing you and manipulating you into working against your own interest. So I'm concerned about this country, and that's it.
Fantastic. Jim, you're next, my friend.
I think everyone should have a couple of deep breaths and take a step back and have a conscious think about the future and take note and think that the children are the future. And as a result, the children being the future, we need to see to it that they're not affected or tormented or subjected to any sorts of weird shit in school. That being the case, people should go to petition.parliament.uk/petitions/643540 and sign the petition and prevent the promotion of homosexuality in schools and councils. That's what I think.
Jim. If you check out Jim Boobeh, Correct Not Political, on YouTube, on Twitter, got a Telegram as well, and I'm sure that petition link will be on there.
It's everywhere.
Nick,
thank you.
No, thank you, Jim. Thank you. And that's what I think, because you guys, you're warriors out there. Nick, your final words, please.
Yeah, well, for anyone like Ludo who's not religious, you best start believing in holy wars, because you're in one. And if you're a white person from Europe or America who doesn't very loudly say, I'm a Christian, then you look ridiculous to Jews and Muslims. They're laughing at you right now because we're in the middle of this. And at the moment, the Christians are completely cucked by the Jews. So best start believing in Jesus and God and all that, but don't go to church. And we will make it through. You're already on UNF. So,
I second that. Ludo fucked off, but I do second that. I stand by what I said, but I also thoroughly second what Nick just said. Ludo, if you're listening.
Every day to view it as the religious war that it is.
I'm going to end telling you guys about a video I saw on TikTok, and they were these balloons that were like people. And they what they said was it'd be really funny to let off like 50 of them, because it would then look like that there was a rapture going on, and you were still not being taken. I must save that, and I'll put that out on the Telegram channel. But that made me laugh, guys. Thank you ever so much for joining me tonight. Thanks to Ludo. Thank you to Rabbi Woody Streisand, also known as Nick Cotton, Nick Unwashed. And thanks ever so much as well to Jim Boobeh. Thanks all for joining me.
Nice one. Thanks for having me, Si. Nice to see you, Nick.
Take care,
see you
guys.
later, man.
We'll see you again. Good night, everyone. Bye.
People, they're a bunch of Christian murderers scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under us. They have green looking skin, and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video.
I love Satan, so you. I kill my kids.
Hillary's in the creepy, weird, sick stuff, man.
We came, we saw, he died.
She sleeps in the same room with that creepy, weird woman whose mother wears a